Welcome to America's Top Rebbetzins. May this class be for Refuah Shalema, for Haya Bat Esther, and Elhanan Pesach Bat Sarah. Please click on the subscribe button to subscribe to us on the America's Top Rebbetzins YouTube page, or click follow to follow us on your podcasting app so that you are the first to know when an inspiring new episode is posted. I am excited to have on today's show Dr. Chavi Goldberg. Chavi has always been passionate about sharing her love for learning and empowering women to excel in their own journeys. She holds a Bachelor of Jewish Education with honors from Talpiot College and a Master of Science in graduate teaching and curriculum development from Nova Southeastern University. Chavi also completed her EDD, her Doctor of Education in Instructional Technology and Distance Education at Nova Southeastern University. Chavi is the founder and director of CyberSem, the first ever online seminary which allows Jewish women from across the globe to have a seminary education right from their own homes on their own schedule. And that is so amazing that women of all ages in all stages of life can receive a seminary education at their convenience. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. Please tell us more about yourself and what you do.
Thank you so much, Vera, for having me on your show. Good. So a little bit about myself, and we can branch into conversation from there as you find pieces to ask me about.
Perfect.
So I came to Beis Yaakov. So the beginning of my journey really was when I was in grade 12, and I was enrolled in Beis Yaakov High School in Toronto, where I'm from. And I did 2 years there because in those days in Ontario, we had grade 13, which is horrifying for many people today. But in the education world, it really isn't horrifying. It really is capturing the scenario of where people really are at. And I think I'll discuss that a little bit later. So after I finished grade 13, I went on to seminary. And from then on, so after my youngest child, Baruch Hashem, when she was 4, and she was already in school a little bit, I decided that my own teaching skills needed upgrading. And I needed to do something to finish my bachelor's, to see what was current in the education world. And that was really important to me. So I did. And I got my bachelor's, and then I went into a master's program. And I did it at Nova Southeastern, like you mentioned before. At the end of my master's, one of our assignments was to review and to research the different careers and what their online requirements were. And so you could see nursing, even 15 years ago or 12 years ago, even nursing had a compulsory online piece. You could do anything online. There is even telemedicine that helps medical students if let's say they're in a hospital and they can't possibly see everything that they want to in the rounds that are in the hospital when they are there. By having telemedicine in that sense, they can get experience in other areas in a clinical basis with what other students are seeing in other places. So the online piece was really major in many, many areas. And we could see the benefits of having an online component in addition to the in-class and the in-person. The online component was really very relevant. And at that time, a boy could even get smicha online. The only one that was left out were the girls. We could not go to seminary online. And I decided I was going to change that. So then I entered into, I applied and I got accepted for a doctorate in education, which is called an Ed.D. Yes. So that's where I ended up with. And go on.
That's awesome. I love that. I love that you saw that there was a lack, that there was a gap, that there was a hole, and you filled it. Like that's what the Jewish people are all about. We see where there's a need and we go to fill it. I think it's fantastic. And I love that you realize that a person can do almost anything online except go to seminary, because I really believe that's so true. Women typically go to seminary right after they finish high school, but many of us didn't have that opportunity. So CyberSem really gives women the opportunity to learn Torah, even if they were never able to go to the seminary. I think it's fantastic. And I know that you are driven by your belief that regardless of your age or your stage of life that you're in, all women can make learning an ongoing and meaningful part of their lives. So this brings me to the question that so many women have asked me. Why? Why is it so important specifically to have ongoing Torah education for women throughout their lives?
Okay, so that was one of the questions that you asked of me, and I said, and I thought to myself, I did formulate an answer. I said, why is that? I can't imagine why that would be a question. Um, for girls who are finishing high school will say, and they say it. When I studied enough when I was in elementary school and high school, and I'm done. I'm done with the books. You hear it all over the place.
Yes.
But then let's look at the world and see, do you not expect a doctor, a lawyer, an accountant, an electrician, and anybody, any skill that we do, is there ever an area of life that we leave to what we did in high school as being our top level of education? We can do that with anything. Can you imagine an electrician not being current on code if it changes, if there's new kind of wiring that comes out, if there's new facility that comes out? Can you imagine if God forbid I could have an electrical something in my house, an electrical episode in my house because the electrician didn't know code, didn't wasn't current on current? That's absurd.
It's so true. You're
and
right. So true.
and like could there's so many areas where medicine, where law. What would be if I employed a lawyer and paid him a huge fee, and he went to court for me, and he wasn't current on the laws, on the current experiences? That would be ridiculous. So me as a Jewish woman, I don't want to leave my experience. But think about it like this: a person who stops learning Torah when she finishes high school, it's as if she's saying that I'm leaving my exposure to text-based, to classical texts, to the level that I was at when I was 17 or 18. My mind has developed, the world has developed. There's so many more experiences I can have and insights I can have. You know, we always say that a young child can learn Torah, and will start to learn Rashi, and an old man learns Rashi. And they're learning the same Rashi, but their experiences and their appreciation of it are two totally different
For
worlds.
sure.
How could we possibly say that? And as a matter of fact, one of the courses that we have in CyberSem, and I'm going to discuss that in a minute too, what CyberSem has become. But one of the courses is Hilchos Shabbos in the kitchen. So the laws of Shabbos, particularly in the kitchen. And I hope this becomes a way for women to, I hope you'll get back to me that you're interested in it. Because I'll tell you the truth, the last time I had a review of Hilchos Shabbos in the kitchen, my oldest son, who is 45, was a year. And that was the
Wow.
last time. But I'm not the only one, and I have no problem saying it. So, as part of my gap filler piece, when I was starting to develop courses for CyberSem, I wanted to know what people were interested in. So I did a survey of girls who had just finished seminary, and I wanted to know. One of the things I wanted to know was what would they be interested in learning post seminary, because that was my piece. It's either before you leave seminary, and please ask me who are the girls who don't go to seminary after that high school year. Please don't let me forget to discuss that, because that's a real relevant piece. But one of the things that they answered me on that survey was they wanted to learn Hilchos Shabbos, and they wanted to learn Hilchos Kashrus. So I used a little bit of, I call it poetic license, and I married the two of them together, and I made Hilchos Shabbos in the kitchen. I have to tell you that there is not another Hilchos Shabbos course in the whole globe like this course, not because I didn't write it, but I dreamed it.
Wow.
And this is what I wanted to produce in the world, because I'm always thinking. My husband laughed. He asked me a question a couple of weeks ago, and I said, I'm always dreaming about courses. I'm always thinking of ways to present them and what's there in the world that's needed and where's there a gap. I said, and he was so amazed. He says, "That's what you dream about?" I said, "Yes." And I do. So this Hilchos Shabbos course is ready. It's 22 units, but the uniqueness of it is that it was produced with motion graphics, which means that the person is giving the share, and beside him is the graphic depiction of what he is saying at the minute that it comes out of his mouth. You see the picture on the side. If anybody has access to Daf HaChaim, then that's what it was written, but it was designed by the same people. But there's such clarity on it. The guy who I speak to in this Daf HaChaim organization, it's not in Daf HaChaim. The guy who produces it for Daf HaChaim, he said that he was so amazed at the amount of knowledge and the clarity by which the person who gave it, in addition to the graphics, he says it's an amazing course, and it really is. So for everybody, all of us who could use this chazara, this review of the laws of Shabbos that we keep every week, that is something. It's beautiful, and I hope that I did it, that we should all be just a little more. When I was asking, I'll tell you the little more something is, I'm not finishing the sentence. So I'll tell you a story that I was looking for when I was doing some fundraising for this course. I spoke to several women, and one of them answered me. She says, if I don't know something about Hilchos Shabbos, I just make sure that I prepare it for Shabbos, or I don't do it at all. But that's the goal, but not really. We really should be filling in the blanks. Maybe we learned Hilchos Shabbos X numbers of years ago, and in the space of time, different things have happened in their lives. Technology is different. Our stoves are built differently. Our everything is built differently, and we do have questions. And so, if our answer is going to be okay, I just won't use it. That's one level. But really, as modern women, we should get the answer. We should be current. We should be current. And here's a way to promote discussion and filling in those gaps again of, if I don't know something, I'm just not going to do it. That's wonderful. But I think we deserve it to ourselves. We owe it to ourselves to be able to find out those answers to the questions that have come up over the years in discussion with our friends. It's everywhere.
It's for sure. It's for sure. And I want to bring up something interesting because it was something that you were alluding to before, because some girls don't go to seminary. And also some of my listeners and viewers, they are growing up, or grew up, I should say, without a Jewish education at all. So they don't know any. Hilchos Shabbos is laws of Shabbos, and Hilchos Kashrus is the laws of Kashrus. So they don't know any of it. Like they don't know anything at all. So would they be able to learn even the basics through CyberSem? They don't know anything.
So I would welcome them. My goal with this Hilchos Shabbos course, and it really is, it's all explained in English. It's not, it's a thorough course. It's a well-planned course, but it doesn't preclude anybody. My goal with marketing this course and having people take it is to get together with a group and have one woman as a mentor. So if you're in I don't know, an Eish HaTorah chapter, an Nishay Eish HaTorah, and you take one woman, maybe the Rebbetzin, and she will take the course with everybody. She'll watch it with everyone.
Okay.
And then if there are any details that they don't understand, they have someone on there to explain it to them. Like when I give a share, my dream is, and this is, I use the word dream again, but my goal is for example, I teach Taras Mishpacha. I give the family laws of the Jewish family. I did give those to brides. And if I've got someone sitting in front of me who doesn't know the terminology, I make an effort. I don't translate it throughout the whole time we're learning. I make an effort to translate it, have her comfortable with using the word, and then we use the term. So taking this over to the Shabbos course is, if you have a group of friends who are new to keeping Shabbos and they want to go through this course, then sure, find a Rebbetzin, get 5 or 6 ladies or 10 ladies or however many you want in your group, have one leader for it, and then if you come to a term, you don't have to ask the teacher to stop. You just pause the recording. She can explain it, and then you'll hear that word used again. And it's the only way to learn is to use the vocabulary. In education, if someone is behind in a subject, the key to solving the problem is boosting their vocabulary. That's the literature. That's in the education literature. So I want to get people using the vocabulary and feeling comfortable. Isn't it wonderful for any of your friends, people who have come to Torah later on in life, as I did, is to be able to sound like you know what's going on.
Yes, that's
You don't
very cool.
you can be part of a conversation and say, yeah, I got those terms.
Yes.
It's wonderful. So we don't have kashrus yet, which I'm going to move on to in my course development, but we do have Hilchos Shabbos. We have Shabbos in the kitchen, which, if you ask me, is the majority of the things that we do on Shabbos. It's the vast majority. Okay, we get dressed and we have certain other things, and we walk and do we carry outside. But most of the things that we do on Shabbos does circle around the food and food preparation. So that would really get someone into the bulk of their Shabbos observance.
For sure, definitely. I love like this course really sounds amazing. Like I'm relating to it. I may even want to take it myself because it sounds like, I actually need a refresher myself. But I will include a link to CyberSem in the description of the podcast if people want to like go to the website and see what's offered. But I want to flesh it out a little bit so people can really visualize it. So CyberSem, it's a website, and people go to visit the website, and on the website are different descriptions of the courses that you offer. Is that right?
Yes. So I'm going to move this in a little bit of a different direction to give you a little bit more of a picture of what I've done.
Yes.
So CyberSem, from the beginning, my goal was girls who finish seminary, when they come home and they say, Ma, what's next? And she doesn't know, then she has a place for wherever her daughter is going to or a student is going to. They want to include Torah in the mix.
Yes.
So let's say a girl finishes seminary and she goes on to get a job. Okay. Mm-hmm. If she's going to get a job, wonderful. She still needs to continue on her Torah learning to keep up her enthusiasm, to keep her in line, to keep her inspired, to keep her davening the way she wants it to be. That that seminary should not be an end of her journey in Yiddishkeit. Yes. Okay, she's going to stay frum, she's going to stay ehrlich, she's going to keep Shabbos, and she's going to marry a frum boy and conduct a frum home. But it's not possible that we should be asked to continue on with the same enthusiasm without a constant pipeline of warm water into a lake. Right. We can't allow ourselves to cool off. We need that constant interaction in everything we do. A doctor has continuing education. They have continuing education credits that they must do in order to maintain their thing. We don't have that as teachers. We don't have that as mothers. We have to be self-motivated. But and there's lots of stuff available. Now there's tons. At the beginning when I started, there weren't. But the difference between CyberSem and the others and podcasts and Torah Anytime, I should be mentioning, but they're lectures, and that's fine. If that's what you want, I'm happy. I am happy. But there's a need, the gap is the need for courses.
Right. And I need more in-depth study. Yes.
Yeah. And so I'm into courses and I'm into educationally sound courses in the building of the program that a person is actually learning. We're not the listener, the student is not a passive recipient, but there's activity. There's always something that the student is learning. And for me, the idea of soft skills is really important. I'll get back to that later. But now we're talking about, I want to go back to what we were starting with. So we had the girl who is finishing seminary, and what's she doing next? So she can take a full course. A girl who's been to seminary can continue her Chumash courses. She can do Navi. She can do Mishlei. I know when I was in Beis Yaakov, we didn't do Mishlei Koheles. Historia was a weakness. So I have courses on those things. And they're really lovely. I can talk about, if you want to ask me about Historia, if we have time, I can tell you about that one. And so that's your seminary graduate. Now with time, there are other girls who have different needs. And what are the scenarios that a girl would fall under if she doesn't go to seminary? 10 years ago, everybody went to seminary, but the world isn't like that today. I tell a story that 2 years ago in January, it'll be 2 years, that the Bina magazine ran an article, their issue about seminary, I think then was run in January. And the title of their on the front cover of their Bina was "To Go or Not to Go."
Wow.
I thought that was really impactful, that they are putting at the front cover of a Orthodox mainstream magazine that there's an option that a girl is not going to go to seminary. I thought that was really gutsy. But the fact is that not everybody wants to go. Not everybody can go.
True.
So the needs of CyberSem and continuing Torah is going to be for girls who finish grade 12. For me, having mentioned that it's grade 13, and I'm going to get into this piece now, for me who finished grade 13, so that was the gap year. It was included in high school. Now that they pulled it back to grade 12, then your gap year is what I had as grade 13, but I had 2 years of seminary after my grade 13. So I really did have a good education before I got married. But it's not like that today. You have CEGEP is the program in Montreal. They finish high school after grade 11. How many years of CEGEP do you need till you can get into university? 2, which pulls you to the end of grade 13. In other terms, it's the same thing in time, just the name is a little bit different. The point being, now we have grade 12 and 1 year of seminary. Last year, I was in Florida talking to different high schools because of what I could offer to their graduates for this coming year. And they said that all the universities understand that the students' first year in university, if they go straight from grade 12 to university, is a lost year. The acknowledgement that a human being needs a year after grade 12 to come to themselves, to have a feeling of who they are, to come to grips with what I like, to be a little bit in the parsha of what I want to do with myself, is a reality of the human being. So the gap year, it's necessary that we have some kind of a gap year. Even when they're in a university, the students still need a little bit of time till they're going to go really into a program, unless you have someone who's going straight into something like pharmacy, where the programs are ready made from the beginning. But even in North America, it's not as commonplace as it is elsewhere, that you go right into a program of a career. Usually there is something a year or two preliminary, and then you go into your career of choice.
Yes.
So that means that the girls need that year. They need continuing education to cut them off after grade 12, and they don't have any formal Torah. After then, you're cutting them off of a piece of their maturity within Limud HaTorah, within Torah learning. And I think that's really major to think about that.
Wow, it's a very, very interesting perspective. I wrote down like that year you finished 12th grade, and before you start university, that's the year. You've been studying and learning for so many years in school, and you have that year. Now you're 18, 19, however old you are at that point, and you need to come into yourself and to come into grips of who you are and what you want, and just to get into that mental state to prepare for yourself, for who you are, before you just jump into the university. It's a very interesting perspective. I never thought about that before.
And that piece of a girl taking her learning to a more mature level after high school is something that we don't want our kids to lose. So now we have, what are the scenarios that a girl would not be able to attend seminary?
Right.
Number one is financial reasons. After last year's, I was at the Torah Masorah conference last year, and after that conference, my husband and I went to the president's conference at the end of December in Florida. And after that, one of the rabbanim stood up, one of the rabbis stood up at another piece, and he said that, and this is, people are saying this, do you know that it's in the vicinity of 30,000 US dollars a year for a girl to go to seminary? Now, practically speaking, a family, let's say they have 5 girls, and there are people with much more. How are they managing?
Right, exactly.
How are they going to make a wedding 2 years later?
Right.
It's like, it's not sustainable. The model of the seminaries today is not sustainable. And it's really tough. The financial piece and the financial burden on families is craziness. Then you have the piece that the Bina magazine that I mentioned before spoke about. It's just what they were talking about, what they meant is it's just not for her. I'm not going to seminary. I don't need to waste the time. I want to jump right into my career, spend the money on my wedding. I'd rather have something else. I'd rather get a job. I'd rather help you. It's just not for me. Any of those comments are real comments that are happening, that are taking place. These are conversations that take place in houses today.
Yes.
Current.
Yes.
Then you have, let's say, a girl is capable of going to seminary and wants to go to seminary and even gets accepted to seminary. The issue of being accepted is another topic that I didn't write down, but not everybody gets accepted. There aren't seats in every seminary, in all the seminaries combined, for all the high school graduates in the high schools around the world. So that's another piece.
True.
Another one is, let's say, family issues. What happens if there's an illness in the family, or a mother needs support, or anything like that? And if you don't go, the point, getting back to the point, is if you don't go, then there isn't anything on the ground. You need something else if you don't go that year.
Yes.
Okay, a girl wants to start the career of her choice. I'm not going to seminary. I want to start my career. Well, you want to do that. Now, today there are many options for that. There are. So that I really have to cross off my list. But in addition to saying that, I shouldn't really cross it off the list, because most of the programs that where girls want to start the career of their choice do not include a Torah component. So if she's going into a program where she's going to become an occupational therapist, she is going to become an occupational therapist, but she won't have Torah.
Right.
So still wonderful. I'm happy that she's got a career choice. She'll get married and she'll be able to supplement her income. And it's an occupational therapy is something that she can choose her own hours. It'll be convenient for her when in Mirza Hashem, she'll have a family. Wonderful. But she needs her Torah. She still needs to address that piece of her.
I love how passionate you are about it. It's so nice. It's so beautiful to
but
say.
This is, you see that I live in now. Last week I had a call, and this I have to add to this. This is really relevant, and none of us had thought of it, surprisingly enough. But someone reached out to me from one of the organization that deals with handicapped people, or someone with a learning difficulty, and they cannot travel to the mainstream seminary due to their handicap.
True.
They asked me, and I've actually taken care of it. I'm going to make a piece of my program so that a person with a learning disability can also continue learning Torah.
I love that.
And
it's so beautiful. It's so inclusive.
Like I said, I'm working with a friend of mine who is a special education specialist to adapt my courses to accommodate students with learning disabilities. And that was, for me, that's new. I got the call last week or 2 weeks ago, not more than 2 weeks ago. And I had to do a little bit of work, but that's another gap that has to be filled. A father called one of these organizations, said, my daughter finished high school. I cannot send her to seminary, but I want her to keep learning.
Right.
Is that not something else?
It's
like
beautiful.
That? It blew me away.
Beautiful. I love that. I love that. Well, so that, this actually brings me to my next question, because I wanted to talk real life examples, because hundreds of women have taken and benefited from CyberSum courses. So can you please share with us a few stories about different types of women of various ages whose lives have truly seen significant improvement as a result of learning Torah?
Okay, so that's an interesting thing because I don't always know of all the reactions to them, but I had we one of the courses, I'm going to tell you, one of the courses that was built specifically for changing many lives,
Mhm.
and that is accelerated Chumash. Now, I told you a little bit about myself, and that will be a perfect segue into where I felt an empathy for someone who didn't have what I had. And that is the 2 years that I spent in Beis Yaakov High School. I had that piece of text learning. You can become, if I would have, or like everybody else, I have a friend who knows tons, tons. A woman who got another woman that got all of her learning, and she knows absolutely tons of stuff, but she got it from watching videos and from listening to lectures, but she can't go to a text.
Right.
So she knows something, she knows tons, but she's missing that skill.
Yes.
And that skill I have, I mean, she can learn it, but so many people don't.
Right.
It's something that once you start a family and you're busy with a job, that skill sort of gets left by the wayside, and you don't quite, you, me, anyone doesn't have quite enough time to really recapture that. So me who had that, and I appreciate that I can open up a book and I can learn some things in the text that maybe someone else can't. So the idea came to mind, this is part of my dreaming up courses, is that for a woman who, and this is really exacerbated through COVID, is that women need to be able to do homework with their children. And for a woman whose children go to a Jewish day school and they did not, that's my tagline. For a woman whose children go to attend a Jewish day school and they did not, they cannot do homework with their children.
True.
And when you're talking about, and I have a story of a woman that I was trying to convince to take it. In the end, she didn't take it. But this woman is brilliant. She's a lawyer. She's a business person, super astute. Her kids think she's stupid because she can't do homework with them, because she's missing that skill of reading the Chumash and being able to figure out, decode it, know a couple of words of vocabulary, more than a couple of words of vocabulary, and her kids think she's stupid. She told me herself. How could that be? She's brilliant. She's astute. She's sharp. She's sharp.
Yes.
But her kids don't see it because she can't relate to them on the level of their needs. So all the other stuff doesn't make a difference to them.
Right, because she can't speak the Hebrew or she can't read the Hebrew. She can't talk about the text based on the words that are in the text because she doesn't have that particular skill.
The skill. So
Yes.
that skill, she can read, by the way, but
Okay.
that skill of being able to decode the text that they're learning,
Yes.
she doesn't have it.
Right.
Well, in CyberSem, we have two courses. It was really one course of 12 weeks, but I divided it in half for various reasons. If we have time, I can go into the reasons, but Lamaisa, practically speaking, it's two 6-week courses. They're $125 each, which is really nothing for 6 weeks. But what a person learns is they learn from grades 2 to 4, and then 5 to 6 or 7, depending on how the school that their child is going to. So if you have, for example, a child in grade 2, and you only need the first 6 weeks of the course, take that, and then when you need it, then you take the second one. So it's 6 weeks. It's not a big investment of time. It's once a week. We're starting in 2 weeks. We're starting again on November the 22nd. On my site, on the course catalog, and I'll do that in a minute, and on the course catalog, you could sign up for it. And for 6 weeks, you can be on tune with your kid. It's first of all, you can do homework on it. All the students are behind because of COVID. You can, and your relationship with your child, it's the most valuable piece. Your children will respect you. The things that you can talk about with your children will all of a sudden blossom and multiply. It's good for in every area. And I had a woman who wrote me a testimonial. She says that the summer that she took that course, she said that was the highlight of her summer.
Wow.
knowing that she could, when her kids would go back to school in
Yes.
September, she was ready on board with them. She was so full, even when she went on vacation. It's an hour and a
Right.
few minutes of homework. If a person has to do homework to make it settle in.
For sure.
And this course it's really great. And I'm happy to run it in different time zones. If someone contacts me from, I'm on the East Coast. If someone contacts me from the West Coast, I'll run it as many times as necessary. If any of your listeners are administrators or are lead teachers in schools, reach out to them and contact me. I have an assistant of operations, and she will work out a program, and she, not a program, but she will work out a marketing, a flyer that you need for the teachers. So I think this is a life changer in the family of people.
There really, really is. And I never thought of it that way because, yeah, because there are many women who are, they're fortunate enough to send their kids to day school and their kids are learning and they're growing, but they don't have the knowledge because they themselves didn't grow up with it. And yes, it's very hard to work with your child when you have no idea what they're studying, what they're learning. You can't understand it because you don't have those skills. But this course that you're talking about from CyberSum will give them those skills so that they can help their children. And you're right, it does change the relationship because kids do need help. Like they will come to you, mommy, can you help me? And if the mother really genuinely can't help them, she feels badly and the kids feel badly, and it's hard. It's really hard.
Yeah. So that was the purpose of that course. I want to mention one thing that as we've moved along and as I've developed courses on different um, programs, and I'll explain what that means. I don't want to use a word that's vague. So within the CyberSem, under the CyberSem umbrella, I have accredited courses and independent study courses. Besides these foundation courses, we'll put those to the side. But you can take courses that are that are accredited, which means either you're part of a cohort, and the cohort moves semester by semester. It's university. My courses are university accredited, and so you can use them as an elective towards a degree. As you have, if the girls who are going to, I don't know, I'm in Toronto, York University, and they have an elective, instead of taking something garbage, instead of taking Greek history, they can take a Jewish history course. It's as simple as that. And if a person has been to a day school and she's in a Goyish college in that sense, then she can continue to learn Chumash. I have 4 levels of Chumash courses that are beautiful. That's for another conversation, but we've decided to move. So then So then we have accredited, that you can take accredited either as a cohort or independently. Let's say, for example, a girl called me from California. She says, I'm in such and such a college and I need 3 credits. Can you provide me with 3 credits? And I said, yes. Can I pick them up anytime? The answer to that is yes. You don't have to wait for the next semester. Start it now. I'll register you and you're in. Then we have the woman. And as I met with more people, then people would say, well, what about this?
Right.
So the next what about is, let's say, what people will tell me like this. I'm finished with school. I don't want tests. I don't want to write any papers, but I want all this knowledge.
Yes.
So I said, fine. So I use a marvelous learning management system. It's called Canvas. Many, many universities are on it. And this is part of my commitment to quality, even though we still are a new organization, but I had to make the foundation on quality. And Canvas, if you look up Canvas on the computer, you'll see in the Jewish world, Yeshiva University uses it, Columbia uses it, York University in Toronto uses it. I think that one was because of me, because I spoke to the person who organizes it. Stanford uses it. So there's a lot of, top-notch quality universities, but I can structure the courses so that as I build them on the computer, I can make it independent study. It's just my background work that I do. So I have a piece that's accredited and a piece that has a bunch of courses. Most of them are the same as the accredited ones, but some are shorter interest courses.
Okay.
And you can just pick it up, you pay for it, you pick it up, and you do it whenever you want.
Right.
You have a year to do it, That was my only thing. You don't have forever. You have a year within the price that it costs. It obviously costs less than the accredited ones because the accredited ones have a teacher and a
Right.
teacher has to be paid.
Right. Right.
Okay.
So I love this. I
So
love all the options.
so those are the options. Now, what we've decided to do, me and my marketing company, is to remarket the accredited piece. And it's in the process of being done. My website is done, and we have a name. So we're going to be Machon Tamima. A
Wow.
machon is like an academy in English,
Yes. Yes.
but there are so many academies. But if you go to something like in Israel, when they came up with the word academy, I thought there's something bothering me about this. So I went onto the Israeli websites in Israel, and I did, for example, Rabbi Steinsaltz, may he rest in peace. His organization is a machon. A machon is really an institute of higher learning, but it's nicer in the Hebrew than it is Institute of Higher Learning in English. So
Right.
because I am only Torah, I value that people are learning skills, but at the same time, I want them to increase as they increase their skills and their commitment to their careers. On one side, I want their Torah to follow the same path of continuous growth. So Machon Tamima is the college companion of anything that has to do with credits.
Okay. Okay. Torah based, but you get credits for it.
That's right. And then we have another piece that's going to be just for independent study without credits.
Right.
So all the interest level things, all the groups for women's groups that I can provide content for women's groups on all kinds of topics. And if a person has a suggestion, I'm happy to make more. We are continuously building that supply. And another piece to add, and I'm going to add that onto Machon Tamima because there will be credits for it. There will be accreditation for it, which is training courses. Someone approached me, can you make me training courses? So because I'm so proficient online, I can use my Canvas to create courses for them with the needs that they have. So we've really blossomed so much and divided up the credits with people that are just doing it for interest's sake. And just to make the credits a little more valuable, I added to my, I don't know if I've gone too long, but I've added to my Canvas piece a company which really is integrated now. They bought it over. It's called Portfolium. And Portfolium enables all of the artifacts that a person does within the course to have a home there, which means that when you go for a job and you want to demonstrate to an employer that you in fact have the skills that they're looking for, you can demonstrate from the artifacts, from the assignments that you've done in Canvas through Machon Tamima, which it will be, that you've accomplished that, and it'll be easier for job acquisition.
Wow.
So
You thought of
that's a
everything.
piece,
You really did.
because I feel for the girls. Look, you said that I got an Ed D. Why did I do that? I did that for one reason, not because I had the time to spend. I work for my husband's practice and I keep the business part of his practice going. He told me to say it. So I didn't do it because I'm bored. I didn't do it because I'm bored. I did it because I wanted my courses to be accepted by the universities. I wanted to be able to go to a dean and say, hi, I'm Dr. Chavi Goldberg. And then they would talk to me.
Right.
And I did that because I wanted the best for the girls that I could at the beginning, because this is my goal. I wanted them to have as many, the most broad amount of chances of success in their private lives, in their Jewish lives, in their public lives, and all the courses that I have. For example, I have a course on public speaking. There's a reason for that, because I don't think that everybody gets really public speaking skills when they leave high school.
True.
We're talking about people who are just out of high school. One girl is going to be a head counselor in a camp. Another girl is going to have to give a presentation in her place of work in the corporate world. So I have a course. The girls, you don't learn that in high school. I wanted to make an upgrade to their ability to public speak, even speaking to your family. Do you have more confidence on a date?
Right. True. Very true.
So wherever I can put in a piece to upgrade the girls and to give them more chances of success, more skills for success as they are moving into the adult world, this is what I'm here for.
Perfect. Perfect. And actually, this so we're getting down to practicality because you're getting the girls ready to go out into the adult world. But here's the thing: as women, as the women get older, we were so busy with so many things in our lives. We're driving the kids to school, doctor's appointments, after school activities. We go to work, the gym to run errands. As the seminary
Yeah,
age girls get older, this is what happens. They get married, and they have families, and their hands are full. So I mean, we prepare for Shabbat, and we prepare for all the holidays. We do
right.
so much every day. It's true, yeah. But I completely agree with you that there's always more to be learned in Judaism. It's really, really true. And when we deepen our Torah education, we take what we learned, we better ourselves, and when we elevate ourselves, we become better people, and in turn we become better wives, better mothers, and better friends, as you were saying
For
before.
sure.
Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And so learning to Torah, it's not just an intellectual pursuit. It really benefits us as we put what we are learning into practice into our lives, exactly as you were saying. So we know that pursuing a Torah education is a worthwhile cause, but realistically, my question is, how do people find the time for Torah learning? Because like you were mentioning, sometimes a girl goes to work in the corporate world, or she's working in a camp, or she's getting married, or something, or she's going to university. So how do we find that time for that extra Torah learning?
So that's the beauty of the online platform. That's the beauty. Anywhere, any place. If you want to listen to something, you may not necessarily see it, but you drive places, you take a subway someplace. And as you get more and more inspired, as with anything where we're inspired to take on new things, let's say you're inspired to, let's say a person has, it's not a good example, has a child who has a need for a special diet.
Okay.
Most of the special diets today require a lot of preparation with food pieces that we can't buy in the store. It's like Pesach. We do everything from scratch, but Pesach is, we may prepare. I prepare for Pesach. I cook in advance and I have a freezer. Fine. But this is Pesach a whole year. It's not a joke.
Right.
That's the reality for many people. And they do find time. They do adjust their lives for it. And they're committed because they're committed to the need for it. It's the same thing. It's the same thing with everything. And one of the beauties of CyberSem is you don't have to take something every semester.
Right.
You don't always have to be doing it, but you do need to do it when you find that space. Everybody has waves of involvement, and when we're more busy, when we're less busy. So Erev Pesach and the weeks before Pesach, you're not going to do it. Like when I'm running this accelerated Chumash course, I'm not expecting people to take it up until Pesach. I've structured it twice in the winter so that we're finished before Purim, because Purim is also a big number.
Yes.
But when we're doing all of these things and we do have a lighter time, if we've got a mindset, I've got a space and I really wanted to learn that, put it in.
Right.
That's the beauty of the online.
I like that. Yes, it's very convenient. It's very accessible. It's very flexible to your schedule. You could listen to 2 in the morning if you want. If that's the only time you have available. Yes.
And once a woman has a baby, and let's say she has an infant,
Yeah.
and she's not working, and she can be learning while she nurses or feeds or whatever it is she's doing with her baby.
Yes.
It's great. The baby sleeps. It's her opportunity to do something for herself, and it's a golden opportunity for her. So many girls feel, oh, I've got a baby, now I've got nothing, now there's nothing left of me. Well, no, it doesn't have to be that way, because then you'll share what you've learned with your husband. Your conversations with him will be so much more meaningful, so much more deep, and again, 2 lives, and the atmosphere in the home will be totally different with a happy wife. Knowing that I can do that, and I have this when if her life gets busier, okay, she'll take a break. But knowing it and having a taste of what the beauty that adds to my life and the fulfillment of my life by being able to continue my Torah journey, is is huge, and I don't think enough people take advantage of it.
True, true.
Yes, we do have podcasts, and we do have Torah Anytime. We do have lectures, but the piece of CyberSam is that it allows you to own it.
Right,
And
because
the
you go into
soft
more
skills,
depth and detail, which is really, really nice with the courses. It's really nice.
there's work to do. Even
Yes.
when a person is not taking a test,
Yes.
I repurpose the assignments into, well, maybe if you want to learn more about this, here are some suggested readings.
Yes.
So they're going and doing something with it. They're going and looking something else up. If they read or hear something, it's only going to accentuate what they have learned about in class, and it'll the learning, what it does is, and this is my piece of brain-based learning, and forgive me for bringing it in, but I always do, is you have a person has a memory. Things settle into long-term memory when you have a schema in your mind, and then you attach new information onto it. So if you've heard something, for example, in a lecture, you heard something on a lecture, and you read something else from somewhere else about the similar topic, it's going to add on to, and your schema in your mind about that topic is going to grow.
Yes.
We have a phrase in education, and I have it on my board, that we have to remember that the person doing the work is the person growing the dendrites. Our brain matter increases when we do the work. We always have to be in an environment of doing the work. And that sums it up. If I want that my students should be doing something with the learning. It's not because I want to give them work to do, but I want them to be able to own it. And Hashem made our brains in such a way that when we do work, we grow the dendrites, and then we get a long-term memory, pieces in our long-term memory. Without the work, the person who prepared the shiur has lots of good memories, but not the student.
Right. 100%. 100%. And before we, and I know we're running out of time, but I just want to ask you one quick question. And it's also about time. Like I want to ask you about your own personal Torah study. Like when do you personally find the time to study Torah? And also, is there anything particular that you are studying right now that really resonates with you?
That's very cute. That's very cute. I'll tell you, this year, one of my decisions has been to go to shul on Shabbos to hear Kriyas HaTorah. I want to focus on the Torah reading this year, and whether it's through listening to things or reading extra, I want to make that. It's because for me, it's easy for these extras. I do have a lot of responsibilities. When I was in school, they used to laugh a little bit at me, but they said if she could do it, anybody could do it. So that just shares with you the amount of free time that I have. But this year, I really want to concentrate on the parsha of the week and really living with it and relating the pieces of the parsha to my life. And that, if I can have one more minute, is one of the pieces of my courses. And when we wrote it, we have a course that it's Women in Tanakh. It was written by Malka Tauger, and she took 10 women, and we learned them in depth. And she wrote basically a book on each of the women from a different perspective than you usually do. But my goal in this, again, was making the women feel, my students feel, that they are relating to the women. We haven't just relegated them to how many years ago, thousands of years ago that they lived, but they are women as we are women. I don't dress like Sari Menu, but I'm a woman like Sari Menu. Right. And I need to think of her and relate to her and what she did in terms of what can I learn from her. So in that course, they're not women from the Torah, from the Chumash, they are women from the Navi and the Ksuvim. It's like Esther and Rachab and Deborah and Chana, those people. Ashes, Ovadia, different, the prophets and their wives. Not the prophets, but the wives of the prophets. And seeing how they lived and what their challenges were, and seeing that really as women, we think and we wonder and we grow in a similar way to them. What can I learn from them? And so the discussion postings are based on, have you ever had a challenge like so and so did? And how can you learn or integrate what she did into your life? Because that's Torah. There were, it says that there were Nevi'im called no, the numbers Kiyotzei Mitzrayim, I think that's the line that it uses. There were the number of prophets as the number of people that left Mitzrayim, but we only have 24. Why? Because they are only ones that are relevant to us. We need to be thinking of their relevance, especially as women, especially the women ones.
Right. I love that. That's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much, Javi, for joining us on America's Top Rebbetzins. It was really a pleasure having you, and we learned so much. I mean, all the learning we did today be for Shalema, for Hayabat Esther, and Elhanan Pesach Ben Sarah. Thank you so
Amen.
much.
Amen. Thank you very much for having me.
My
all the best and loads of success with all of your Rebbetzins, even though I'm not a Rebbetzin. Bye-bye.